Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is someone who brings real depth into when it comes to growth, identity, and building a meaningful life. Nicholas Townsend Smith, also known as the gentle giant of growth, is an international speaker, author, sales expert, AI strategist, and creator of the 12 Journey framework with a background in industrial and organizational psychology grow into stronger versions of themselves personally and professionally. He's also the founder of the Tribe of Giants and the host of Wake Up with Giants TV, where he has interviewed hundreds of thought leaders around the world. Nick, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, so heads up, Nick. We're gonna be diving a little bit into your 20s, right?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so all right, can you take us back to your 20s? What was life like for you, and what were you trying to figure out during that time?
I don't even think I knew who I was back then. That is so far back. So I'm 51 now, and so
Wow.
at 20, I was just playing. I was enjoying life. I was working in construction, taking whatever job I could get. I had no direction for life back then. In fact, I don't even think I knew who I was.
Okay, all right. Well, that's
Yeah,
quite unique, right? Because it's unique and it's funny actually, because one would have thought, I mean, with all your achievements and all,
yeah.
the one would have thought that you probably knew what you were doing right from the beginning, right from your
No, no,
20s.
and I think that's helpful because my journey actually began, probably 10, 15 years ago now. And
Hmm.
so I
Wow.
was maybe 36 years old. So in my 20s, I really didn't have a lot of direction. I uh, hadn't figured out how to run my life yet. So maybe this will be some wisdom for people who are just uncertain if they're ever going to get there.
Exactly. Actually, this is a whole lot of wisdom because people in my generation are trying to have it all figured out, right?
Yes.
They just want to figure everything out in their 20s, which is almost unrealistic, right? Because
Yes.
learning is a lifelong process, right? So it's important to know that you don't have to have it all figured out in your 20s. You just live
Yes.
your life, love your life, and do what makes you happy. So yeah.
I love it. How is that for ruining a show in the first 5 minutes, right? I love it.
All right. So yeah, okay. So now we're gonna do a deep dive into what you're doing now. So today
Yes.
you help people break patterns, rebuild identity. What does that process actually look like in real life?
Yeah. So the first thing is recognizing who you think you are. And I think it's important to say it that way is we have all been conditioned based on our culture, our society, our family, our own experiences into thinking that we are somebody. And so
Hmm.
we have a brain that is an absolute incredible machine, better than any AI out there. Um, but it helps us to create this identity, and then from that identity comes everything that we see in our world. And so we go around telling people this is who I am and this is why I am who I am. And you find out later in life that it while it was true at the time, it's not true forever. Doesn't mean that you have to be that
Hmm.
identity forever. And so we always start with teaching people about their brain and how it works and how identity is created. And then we look at their current identity of who they think they are and where that came from. And we find the areas of their life that no longer serve them and start to rewrite those stories. So The vision isn't, where you're going, it's what's coming from you because of who you think you are.
All right. Wow. Okay. So, like you said just now, the vision isn't where you're going, but what is coming from you, right? So,
Yeah.
in that process, yeah, you created the 12 journeys framework, right? So, can you explain what that is and how it helps people grow?
Yeah, so the first six journeys are called the root journeys, and that's where we dive into your inner world and really look at that identity. So we start with the journey of non-consciousness, where you really see your stories and where they came from, and you learn how the brain works, how myelination occurs, how you create neural connections, and how that ultimately forms your identity. And then we move into the journey of awareness where you wake up to those patterns that no longer serve you. And often when that happens, people go through what we call the journey of grief, which is all the heavy emotions. And so we teach you how to navigate all the intense emotions that are going to come up through life. So we use the word grief because in Latin it means gravare, it means weightiness. And so we consider anything that's heavy to be a grieving emotion. Um, for simplicity, it's not that that's scientifically what it is, but we teach you how to navigate those emotions because when you can sit with those, then you can learn to change the identity and rewrite your story. And then we move from grief to the journey of acceptance, where you learn to love what is without resigning to it. And then we move to the journey of gratitude and empowerment, where you learn tools to empower yourself to step into the unknown. And then from there, you go into the growth journeys, which is uncertainty, abundance, vision, surrender, and nurture. And that's where you learn to become anti fragile in the world instead of being resilient only or robust. You actually learn to grow from the unknown. And instead of wanting a map, you actually learn to use a compass instead in your own life. You step into the unknown without having to see the full picture. You see uncertainty as possibility, and then we
Hmm.
teach you how to see abundance and take the abundance that exists in the world and transform it into what you have in mind, which leads you to the journey of vision to see what you'd like to bring into this world. And then surrender as, surrendering how it comes about and when it comes about, and but taking action anyway. And which moves you into the journey of nurture, which is taking the small steps. We always say giants still take small steps, they're just bigger. So we teach you how to take small steps and chunk things down into bite-sized processes that you can use to create your vision as a reality, which ultimately leads to the final journey, the 12th journey, which is legacy or impact, the ripple you're going to make in the world. And so all of those combined go from the inner world, the outer world, and your impact. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So our goal is to help you rewrite that story that you've lived with your whole life. It doesn't matter where you are, if you're in your 20s, your 70s. We've worked with people at all ages to rewrite that story.
All right, wow. Okay, so I'm gonna say thank you for that one because I think your goal is pretty unique and definitely helpful, especially for people who are trying to, work in these sectors, who are trying to figure out life, their career, and like their identity, basically. So yeah, you also, work in sales,
Yeah,
leadership, AI, right? So how do
I
all
do.
these areas actually connect in with the work you do, right?
Well, sales is something we do as humans. It's just connection with other humans. It's how we relate to them, how we communicate with them, how we inspire them to do the things we'd like them to do without being a manipulator. So sales is very useful because we learn how to work with other people to enroll them in our dreams and visions. And then AI is opening the door for us to be able to process our ideas much
Mm,
more quickly. And I think AI is one of those tools, just like the internet was back in the day. Is it all depends on how you want to use it. Some people are using it just like they use their brains, very simply. They think they can only do so much, so that's all they do with it. Whereas I love to create robust systems with AI. And so I'll strategize with it, I'll talk to it, I'll process myself with it. And so I create applications to help myself and my clients to break through.
mm. All right, wow. So let's say for someone trying to grow in today's world, how can they use tools like AI without losing their authenticity or human connection?
Well, so you can train AI to think any way you'd like it to think. And so if you want to honor your identity or your authenticity, then you can instruct it to do that. You say, "This is who I am." It'll actually know you better than you know you.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I would say, open up to the possibility that there might be some things that come up in those conversations you didn't expect or you can't see because they're so automated for you.
Okay. All right. So yes, thank you so much for that one. And what stood out for me was when you said AI knows you better than you know you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because right, in this world today, people are kind of like debating if AI has done more harm than good, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
what would be your take on that actually?
I think it will do whatever we want it to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, really think of what people have done with websites or the internet.
Hmm.
They've used it for good or evil all over the world, and that's any technology. And so I think it really comes down to who's using it and for what purpose. Um, so for me, I prefer to make a positive ripple in the world. So for me, I use AI for that. And I think if people want to do harm with it, they're going to do that with anything.
Hmm. Exactly. Okay, well, that's an interesting point. That's interesting. And yeah, it just opened my eyes to a whole new perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, it still boils down to humans. Whatever the AI is
Yes.
doing is what the human in control of it wants it to do. So it's never
Yes.
the AI, it's always who is in control of it. So yeah. All right. So moving forward, right, I'll move to ask this one question. So, what are you currently building or working on that excites you right now, or what impacts are you looking to, create on people globally?
Yeah, so we just launched the website my12journeys.com. So we've been adding a lot of tools in there to help people really break free. So we created our 12 Journeys program to help people from any background to break free from their story. And so some of the tools that I'm loving in there are the AI tools that I've developed to help people really see themselves. And so as part of our program, when they go through it, they have access to those for as long as we're around, forever. Um, but we've put together workbooks, we've put together stories. My book, The Giants and the Smalls, now has 12 additional characters that teach metaphors around becoming and being that giant in the world. And so for me, it's just really creating more and more tools to serve people. Our Wake Up with Giants TV podcast is just filled with inspirational stories and wisdom from thought leaders from around the world. So that's something else that we're continuing to add more guests to. So our impact that we want to make is if we could just impact one person, and that person, we never know how far their ripple is going to go out, but if we can affect and impact one person, then that's what we're after. Fill up the world with giants.
Okay. Fill up the world with giants. Okay. And yes, I think what you're doing is amazing, right? And like you said, if you could just impact one person, who knows? It could be me. It could be my listener.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know.
You never know, right? It could
Yeah,
be
yeah.
anyone actually, which is totally amazing. So yeah, Nick, this has been such a powerful and insightful conversation, actually, which what brings me to ask this final question, right? So if you could give one honest, real piece of advice to someone in their 20s trying to build their identity, their career, and their life, what would it be?
It would be to acknowledge that your life is exactly where it needs to be,
Mm,
that you're right on time, and that you're doing what you need to be doing, that your life is going to reveal itself as you step. So I would advise them to trust that every step they take is going to lead them to their ultimate potential, that they can't miss it. And so I think where we suffer the most is in resisting what is. Yet that what is i- it's what we need to grow in our unique way, whatever that looks like. And so I would
Mm.
say trust that.
Mm. All right. Thank you so much for that one, Nick. Thank you. I
You're
really do
welcome.
appreciate that. And yes, this brings me to the final segment of my podcast. It's called the rapid fire segment.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. So starting now, one pattern people need to break early in life.
Um, well, one pattern to break early in life is being hard on yourself.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. A belief that limits most people.
That they're not the ones that can do it.
Hmm. Okay. All right. One habit that creates real growth.
Turning everything you do into small steps.
Small steps. Okay. Something people chase that doesn't actually matter.
Accolades of the world, fame,
Hmm.
recognition,
Wow. Creates of the world. All right. And finally, one word that defines your mission.
giant.
Wow. Okay, giants. All right. And yes, Nick, where can listeners get to, know more about your work, your teachings, and basically everything about you?
Yeah, if they go to my12journeys.com,
Mm.
they'll see everything that we're up to. And there's a ton of information to serve and support them in their journey.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Nick. This has been amazing. And to my listeners, thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. All right, Nick, do have a wonderful day ahead of you.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Take care.